Special needs students, should they be given different supplies when they're coming to you integrated into your regular classroom? Some people do that, but I subscribe to this idea that they should be doing the exact same thing with the same materials as the rest of your students. To give them something essentially different means that you are showing the rest of their peers that they are unworthy or unable to handle those materials. Now, just as you would review 504 plans and IEPs for the students in your regular sessions, you need to do the same thing and make adjustments for your special needs students. If they come with an aid, it's very important that you use that resource. So when people come to me and say that I do need to do something different with my special needs students, I doubt that advice very deeply. If they are all autistic, then there would be certain truisms about how you might deal with that population, but I'm specifically speaking about having a special needs student within your classroom with your regular students as well. So if they come with an aid, definitely use that resource. That becomes very important, and it's good for you to be able to use that as best you can. But what about students that are severely disabled? Surely they need to do something different. If they're in a wheelchair, they have braces on, no. If you have a student with special needs and they are integrated into your regular class, they really need to use the same materials and do the same lesson unless safety is an issue. So when my class is doing gridded self-portraits, my special needs students do what they can at their level of ability. Maybe they just draw a face on paper and color it. Their aide can prompt them to do a similar drawing with features that are similar to the student, like freckles, glasses, ponytail. Maybe the aide can draw the face lightly in pencil and that student can trace the face. Maybe a student can just draw the head and shoulders by using basic shapes like circles and arches. But with a student who is severely disabled, it might be hand over hand helping the student actually create the drawing. When painting, most of my students will have all of the colors available to them. You don't have to make every color available to your students who have special needs. Maybe, if it is someone who's severely disabled and has, some difficulties that are challenging, they can get one color in the brush. So at least they're using paint to the best of their ability. And again, it might be hand over hand with the aid, or they might be able to use just a couple of colors. In that case, I would suggest using two primary colors, so where the colors are overlapping, instead of getting a brown mess, you will end up with a secondary color, which can be fine. In some classes, my special needs students will finish far quicker than the rest of my students. So when my class is focusing on one thing, my special needs students may need to do that same project 4 or 8 times because they are so fast. Sometimes they do the first one or the last one on good paper, so we can save that for display. And the other versions, I might give them copy paper that I was able to snag from the office. So I'm not using up my art supplies for these extra pieces. Make sure that you have some time to discuss this idea with your aides so they're on the same page and they know what to do, so they're not always asking you, what should I do, what should I do? You can continue teaching and go over, as you would go to all of your students, go over to that student and aide and see if they need additional help. Sometimes if the class is going really long, like let's say you have block scheduling, then you may find that it's just too much for the student to handle. So you can speak to the aide and talk about an idea of halfway through the period, the two of them can go for a walk. Maybe they need to go for a drink, go to the bathroom, and then give them a task that they can do in the hallway. Like, let's find 8 red things, or let's find 5 blue things, or let's point to 10 squares on the way. So they're doing something that's kind of art related while they're getting a little bit of a visual break, because a large block schedule might be just, too much to handle. Just like when you have a gifted student, you give them a little bit more to help them succeed. With our special needs students, sometimes you need to get it down to the bare essence. For my gifted student, if we're doing a regular project and I haven't really talked about perspective with the rest of my students, I may talk about perspective with that one particular student because I want to challenge them to go maybe a little deeper because they can handle it. Same thing with my special needs students. I may need to kind of pull back and think, what is the essence of what I'm doing? Is it the portrait, or is it this idea of trying to draw things that we can actually see around us? And breaking that down into simple shapes and lines and even hand over hand is fine, and at least they're getting that experience, and their peers can see, hey, they can do it too. It's simpler than what I'm doing, but they're doing the same thing. And that helps build up some camaraderie in the class, which is an awesome thing. So my one truism for special needs students is to treat them like any other kid, but be ready to meet their specific needs. We do this with all of our students, and once in a while, these special needs students are going to surprise you. If you found this advice helpful, please think of subscribing and checking out some of my other videos in this playlist. Thank you.